Are you still guessing your prices? If you are, then this is the video for you. What I'm about to do in here is that I'm going to show you why guessing your prices is costing you real money. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Alan. I help solopreneurs and new business owners get to price with confidence. Now, to understand the real reason as why guessing your prices is costing you real money, you need to understand the root cause of what this is. When you're just starting out, you are always tempted to just pull out prices out of thin air. So sometimes you get to think, oh, let me just price this because it's what feels right. Or let me price this because it's what I would charge myself if it was me paying for it. And for the worst case scenario, you say, let me just charge this because charging less is going to help me attract clients faster. But tell you what, all those three, none of that is strategy. In fact, the right term that gets to define what you're doing is survival mode. And the thing with survival mode is that all businesses that get to operate in this kind of situations, they are stuck. You want to know why? It's because when you operate under survival mode, you're governed by feelings. And here's the truth about feeling. 1, feelings ain't numbers. 2, feelings ain't facts. And if you really need to operate a thriving business, you need to ditch your feelings and operate on two things, which is numbers and facts. If I'm right about all this, please just consider hitting a like button and share this video to all other people that really need to do it, or to all your friends that are operating under survival mode. Now, if you're the kind of person who is always operating under survival mode, there are always 2-line phrases that I always extend out to people as form of advice. And that is, stop guessing, start calculating. And to do this, you really need to master 3 things as soon as possible. So first on the list is you need to calculate your costs. So you need to understand that what does it cost you to deliver on product A? What does it cost you to deliver on service Z? Yeah. So for those of you who are still confused, I already made videos about how to get to cost your product or how to set your prices based on the cost or time-based method. But just to digest it even further, you really need to think about costs in terms of time. How long, in terms of hours, will it take you to get to produce product A until it's delivered to the final client? If it is a service, how long will it take you in terms of hours to get the product from production through the pipeline up to when it reaches the final consumer? Yeah? So think of that. You also need to think of costs in terms of tools. Yeah, you might need a car, you might need a bicycle, you might need a computer. Yeah, so all those get to wear out. So you also need to account for that. You also need to think of costs in terms of softwares. Let's say you're a product designer or you're a graphic designer. You will need softwares. You'll need to maybe subscribe to Adobe, you need to subscribe to CapCut, you need to subscribe to Canva. All that costs money. So you also need to account for that. And finally, the thing that most people tend to ignore most is the energy input. You need to also account for the energy input that you put in to produce a product A, that you put in to get the service, get through the production phase to the pipeline, and then till it reaches the final consumer. So understand and calculate your costs. That is step 1. Step 2, you need to understand your competitive landscape. And here's the thing, you're not supposed to copy other people, but you're just there to understand the market. Use your competition to understand the market. So the only issue I find with people trying to, understanding, or what they call understanding their competitive market, is they think, yeah, let me look at my competition and then start doing exactly what they're doing. But that is a recipe for disaster. When you copy other people, you are doomed to fail. Why? Because first of all, you don't understand the kind of strategy that they are applying. Yeah? You do not get to understand their real market. Yeah? So instead of copying what others are doing, just be in a situation where you position yourself, to learn from what they're doing, how they get to attract clients, how they get to market their product, how they get to position themselves in the market, more so the same market, where you want also to target your clients. So all you have to do here is that get to sit down and compare yourself to other competitors, especially those of you who are trying to run the same business, or those of you who are trying to operate in the same niche area. Yeah. So try and understand how they get to offer their packages, how they get to attract clients, how they get to price even in the first place. Yeah. Because when you understand that, now you get to sell like an artist. You get to modify and pick out from what competitor A does, competitor B does, competitor C does, and then merge that together and come up with a blueprint of your own that is going to work suitably for you as an operator. Finally, is the most important one. You need to calculate and understand your desired margin. This is so big. Most people think about profits, but margins in itself is bigger than what's leftovers, because I take profits as leftovers, but with margins, you already know what it is that you're going to get before you even get the job done. So you need to calculate for all that. Yeah. So what you need to understand with all these three is that it isn't about your prices, but it's rather about how you get to position your value in the market. That is in terms of costs, in terms of your competitors or competitors' landscape, and finally, in terms of the desired margins that you tend to enjoy or attract as a person or as a solopreneur or as a new business owner. Yeah. So before I get to sum up this, I want to give you an example of the kind of clients or some clients I worked with previously. So a few weeks ago, I previously happened to work with two clients, and luckily enough, these were clients that were operating in the same business area. By same business area, I mean they were in the same niche, they were doing the same business, they were attracting the same type of clients. Basically, everything they operated in was identical. Yeah. So here's what got to happen. Client one was charging $15 per hour. When I happened to ask them, yo, why is it that you're charging $15 per hour? Her response was, yeah, I'm charging $15 per hour because if it was me, that is what I would pay for it. And then maybe it's what I feel like it's what the clients need to pay. Yeah. So for her, she was basing her prices or guessing her prices by mentioning a figure that feels right to her. And then client two, for her, she was a bit wise. Yeah. Her concern was different from client A. But I want to relate these two together so that you get to understand the point. Yeah. So for her, she didn't have a fixed price. Okay, she had a price in mind, but hers was a flat figure, was a flat rate of $300. Then I happened to ask her, why $300? Like, what's the secret behind $300? Then she told me, the secret is quite simple. I know my costs. I know how much it's going to cost me to get the service done. 2, I already know the margins I'm going to get from it. And 3, my competitors always charge $150. But me, I'm charging $300. And I was like, wow. So the thing I get to see here is that with client A, her prices were based on feelings. She charged prices that felt like they were right to her, that felt like it's what she would pay for the service. And with client B or client 2, it's like she knew the numbers. She wasn't just guessing, but she did the calculations first time. So the whole lesson you need to take out of all this is that guessing made one invisible, and clarity made the other valuable. And by being valuable, she positioned herself by charging $300 flat for her service. So the whole point is always get to make the right choices before you get to price your services. Yeah. Now, if you're still here and you're still guessing your prices, I want to make it easy for you. We can get to fix that today. Just check out the link in the description and get to have a private call with me, and we'll get that sorted.